Agua. All right, welcome back to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I am the host of the show. Today, I am flying solo because Laurie is under the weather, and I know that it's been a moment since we released an episode on a Friday because I was just super psyched about the interviews that we did with Carol, Lily, and Renee. They were just so much fun to do, and I'm pretty proud of those interviews. It was just, there's so much good stuff. I don't even really have anything more to say about it other than if you haven't listened to them, please listen. Tons of value. Owners doing amazing with their dogs. A professional groomer sharing her stories, answering questions from our listeners. It doesn't get much better than that if you are a dog person. So I wanted to let those episodes just marinate a little bit. Firstly, I wanted to announce to those of you that have worked with me in the past that I'm going to be doing an Off Leash Heeling class throughout the summer. If you're a client of ours, you should have been notified already, but many of you do listen to the podcast, so I just wanted to describe that a little bit today. So Off Leash Heeling is just a great thing to be able to do with your dog, right? So if I'm using myself as an example, when I am out and about with Raven in a public area, I try to go to places where I can safely have her off of the leash. And if I need to call her back to me, I ask her to heel, and we heel past the distraction. And then I release her again to go back out into the environment and do whatever she would like to do. I do the same thing with Ruben as well. If I have them both with me, they both heel by my side, and then again I release them when we are past the distraction. Ruben, my little guy, has a lot less focus than Raven does, and it's just because we haven't practiced it quite as much as I have with Raven. But regardless, both of my dogs can heel with me past the distraction, and it's a great thing to be able to do with your dog when you have them off of the leash. So if you're interested, hit me up. And for the most part, it's going to be for our clients who already work with us. And it's going to be in addition to our regularly scheduled group classes. So yeah, I know many of you guys listen to the podcast. So get on it. Take a look at your summer schedule. If you can sign up, if you can make a couple of dates, I think it will be well worth it. Second thing I wanted to talk about today was something that Renee had mentioned in our last interview. So when I asked Renee, what is the most important characteristic that you should look for in a groomer, her response was that they have a CPR and First Aid certification, bottom line, basic. And I just wanted to take a moment and second that emotion and explain a little bit as to why. So with dog training and handling, whether you're a groomer, a walker, or a trainer, or even a daycare worker, or somebody that's doing some, taking care of dogs for the day, there is no industry standard. There's no amount of education that we need to have in order to put that shingle on our door and say, I'm a dog walker now. And I'm not going to make any statements on whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. It just is the reality. And it puts a lot of onus on you as the owner to do your due diligence before you hire somebody to take care of your dog. And it's hard. It's really hard. So I love what Renee said because it's just like basic bottom line. Like, does this person know what to do in case of an emergency? And obviously, a course is not going to tell you everything you need to know, but it's basic. It's the bottom line. It's a start. Personally, I feel so lucky to be in the company of Laurie because she's taught me so much about how to care for dogs. She's extremely good at it. She's extremely good at knowing like when a dog needs vet care and, not diagnosing things because she's not a vet, but like what it could potentially be. She's really good at, grooming, at touching a dog, at handling a dog, at, trimming their nails, figuring out, if there is a problem, if there is something wrong. Like she literally can look at a dog and be like, there's something wrong with that dog. When I think a layperson would be like, yeah, what's the big deal? And I've learned so much from her and I continue to learn from her. And I learn every time I get recertified in the pet CPR course. So the way any pet CPR course works is you do an initial certification, and then every 2 years you have to renew that certification. So I originally did mine with Pet Emergency Education, and I really would recommend that organization because they do in-person trainings. The trainings are run by vet techs, and they loved answering my random questions about everything, which was awesome. And you get some hands-on experience. You're not working with a real dog. They're stuffed animals, but it gives you a chance to get in there, get some hands-on experience. I did a couple of those in-person courses, and now when I do my renewals, I do them online. I actually just did my renewal. It was up. So some of the things that they cover in the courses are, obviously what to do if a dog has a low respiratory rate, right? So that would be the CPR portion of the course. What to do if a dog is choking. They go over basic wound care, what to do if a dog ingests poison, how to deal with a snake bite. I know you don't think we have snakes in Massachusetts, but we actually do have some dangerous snakes in Massachusetts. They will go over how to safely transport a dog that's incapacitated. They talk about muzzling a dog. Oftentimes, if you need to handle a dog that's been injured, it's a good idea to do some sort of a makeshift muzzle so that you can add that layer of safety, if you know what I mean. They talk about heat stroke and hypothermia and just cover the basics. The basics would be how to test a dog's vital signs. So what their heart rate should be, what is a normal temperature range, what a normal respiratory rate is. And I'm talking about dogs, but they cover dogs and cats as well. Again, it's basic stuff. If you're an owner, I would recommend doing it if you're an owner, right? It's like, especially if you're a first-time dog owner, it will teach you so much about just the basics so that you can be informed and aware when you need to vet your dog, which is like super. It could be the difference between life and death, right? So definitely worth it. If, again, you're looking for somebody to handle your dog, if you're looking for somebody to stay overnight and house sit, pet sit, it's not unreasonable for you to ask that person, hey, are you CPR or first aid certified? It's such an easy thing to do. You can go online. Again, I recommend doing it in person, but if you can only do it online, do it. It's like 2 hours, $75, learn a couple of things. I guarantee, even if you've been working with dogs for a while, if you do the course, you will learn something. Just having the wherewithal to know what to do in case of an emergency, can make a huge difference. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with walking dogs, but safety first. If you've been in this game for long enough, you know that safety first should be everybody's mantra, because it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you don't have the wherewithal and the skills to keep the dogs safe, relatively safe, or know what to do if there is an accident or an incident, you're not going to be very good at your job. That's just the bottom line. And I recognize that accidents happen. Again, knowing what to do when they happen is a huge, very important skill to have. So start out with the pet CPR and first aid certification. You will not regret it. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and to completely switch gears and talk about training. I've been posting a lot on Instagram, just little short training videos. I oftentimes throw my camera on a tripod and I rewatch my training sessions with Raven mostly, but I train with Ruben as well. Occasionally Big Buddha gets in there for a little training with me too, but not often. And if something good happened or cool happened, I might do a little 15 to 20 second clip and throw it on social media. In a lot of ways, it keeps me accountable, but I also think that as a trainer, there's definitely things that I can show and just kind of showcase what the heck we do. And it's valuable and people really like it. I get good feedback. It's a hard thing for trainers to do. I know Laurie's talked very candidly about posting video and receiving criticism, but ultimately, I think that it's useful. It's for clients, for people who don't necessarily know what dog training is, for people that are working on the same things that you're working on. It can be a cool thing to experiment with. So I've been experimenting a little bit with it. And one of my old friends from back in the day sent a message and asked what system I use for training. And the bottom line is I don't have a system. Right now I'm training to a test, and I don't have a system for the way that I train. And there's really one reason for that, and it's because I'm inexperienced. I've never done this before. This is new to me. I'm following the advice of a mentor. I'm following examples from people that we train with that have gotten titles on their dogs. But I don't have a system, a tried and true way of doing these things because I don't have, this is the first time I'm ever doing it. And I have the ability to train behaviors. I know about dog training. I have a good relationship with my dog, but, I didn't buy a book or subscribe to a specific way of doing things because I'm still in an exploratory phase. And the way that I wanted to describe it on the podcast today was to compare it to like playing a pickup game. So we just had the NBA finals, go Celtics, rah, rah, rah. We won the championship. It was awesome. I slept through most of the games, but I did open my eyes in the fourth quarter of the last game to high five Laurie and then go promptly back to sleep. But it was super exciting. And as I was kind of learning a little bit more about the players, I realized that a lot of players realized that they were talented by just like having fun playing pickup games when they were young kids in the yard. And that's kind of where the talent was, seen. And then maybe in high school it developed, and then they get into a college, an NCAA college. And then, all the structure comes kind of later after it becomes apparent that there's some talent there. And I guess where I'm at in my little dog training journey is I'm kind of in the pickup game phase of learning whether or not this is something that I like to do, is something that I'm talented at doing, and whether or not my dog likes to do and is talented at doing. And there's no doubt that my dog is there. And it's me that has more of the learning to do. So I'm just kind of still figuring it out. And I was listening to a podcast many months ago, and there was a woman on who has gotten multiple ACHAs, which is like the highest obedience title in AKC you can get with your dog, kind of like best of breed in obedience for a breed of dogs. And she was explaining how she won't even bring a dog to trial until they are trained up through the highest level of training. So she won't even start at like the novice level until in her training, she's gotten all the way through to the tippity top. And I hope that one day, if I stick with this, that I'll have a system that is as reliable as that, right? But I'm not there yet. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out. I'm still trying to figure out what works for me and what works for my dog. And I'm still learning how to be disciplined and how to be patient. Patience is a huge thing. I wrote it on the whiteboard downstairs a couple of days ago. I said, Leah, more patience. And Laurie was like, oh my God, are you talking about me? Do you need to have more patience with me? I'm like, no, it's for me. But I'm still trying to figure this out because I'm inexperienced. I'm new at this. And I'm learning as I go. And hopefully if I stick with it, if it's something that I'm talented at, and again, my dogs like to do, I will have some sort of a system. But for now, I really and truly am just focused on having fun and learning as I go and trying to have an open mind. Being in my late 30s, like it's hard to have the mind of a child. It's hard to be playful. It's hard to, not feel weighed down by the weight of the world and responsibilities and stuff like that. But I know that that's the mentality I need to have going into this because, again, I am just learning. So anyway, just wanted to do a quick little episode, talk about where I'm at, talk about the CPR training and what's to come in the summertime for the group classes that I'm going to be offering. I know this was a quickie and a solo episode. These are always tough for me to do. It's very weird to talk to yourself for any length of time and act like somebody is there listening. But hopefully I pulled it off. Hopefully next time Laurie will be back with me. And thank you for listening. Share with your friends, and we'll see you next time.